Listening to the Outdoor Drive Podcast.
And welcome back to episode 182 with your boy East Coast Trev, and I'm my good buddy, Mr. Madman Mardick.
I'm here.
Oh, that's it?
There.
That's all we get?
I got nothing.
What? You
Dude,
slacking
I'm
already?
still recovering from Harrisburg, man. Leave me alone.
You're still recovering from Harrisburg?
Yeah.
I don't even remember going there.
I forgot most of it, but I had to play back the podcast episode to try to piece it back together.
just to remember where you were going and where you came from? Well, just good thing that this week here in a couple of days, we're going to be at the Springfield Sportsman Show in Springfield, Massachusetts. Super excited for that. It's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it. There's some really cool things going on, some good people doing some great things, and that will be a really badass show. And then we added to our repertoire. Is that what it would be? Repertoire?
No, I can't even say it
All right,
because you said it so bad.
So anyways, we're going to be in New York on March 10th.
11th,
12th, and then we'll be in the Mohegan Sun Arena.
Expo Center.
Yeah, same thing. The 25th, 26th, and 27th of March. So we do got some really good things going on.
I can't wait for Springfield.
I know Springfield's like our home show, right? Or local to
Mohegan's
us.
our home show, but Springfield's just that one that we grew up on.
That show used to be one of my favorite shows. I mean, still is.
Still is, yeah.
It's just a good one, you know. Whatever, it's all good.
It's like the OG. The OG of Sportsman shows us.
That it is. I remember when it was like the size of Harrisburg.
It felt like it when you're 10 years old and it's 3 buildings. It was pretty big.
It was. It definitely was, man. This week's been a really good week, though.
Oh, great week.
I mean, got out shed hunting. Things are good.
I went up and saw Seth in Rhode Island.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was probably a blast.
It was a blast. Seth's it's about an hour and 15 minutes for me, and he wanted me to come up and try to film him kill a coyote. So, I have to twist my arm. I jumped in the truck and headed up there, and unfortunately, we did not kill a coyote. But it was just really cool to check out the area where Seth lives and where he hunts, and he took me around to all his farms that he hunts, and I mean, we didn't really walk around too much because we were either just driving through or we were going to coyote hunt that farm, but it was really cool to just be able to see it because I'd seen, we had shared aerial photos and stuff like that and e-scouted together, but to actually see how it lays out, it's wild up there, man. It's like
different world.
Coastal farmland. It reminded me a lot of Block Island almost.
Yeah.
Like coastal farmland. So it's a lot of ag, not a lot of timber. Almost everything butts up to water, which was one of the reasons why we had a hard time coyote hunting because you got a lot of swirly winds and stuff like that. But just beautiful country. Beautiful country. It was awesome. So that was a lot of fun. Plus, just to get to spend time with Seth.
I think that was the coolest aspect for me, like when you had told me, because you had called me, and you're like, hey, man, I'm headed up to go see Seth. And I was like, oh, dude, that's badass. Like, dude, you're going to take the ride up there and go and hang out. And I think that's more or less to me what this was all about. Like, being able to go and hang out with those dudes and go and do those things. And, like, like us, we go shed hunting and hang out and go places and whatever else. But to bring those guys into that world and do those things with those guys is what's important to us, Like, even like this coming up weekend, dude, just to spend time with the boys in Springfield and hang out and chat and bust balls and tell stories and the camaraderie. I mean, we're going to talk about that in the podcast too, but I mean, that's just the best for me.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, Seth had apologized to me before he left. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. You drove all the way up here for nothing. I'm like, dude, it wasn't for nothing. Like,
no.
The kill would just be a bonus, but,
right.
It wasn't a wasted trip by any means.
No. And it's never a wasted trip. Like we talked about in the podcast, some of the worst things that you get into are some of the best memories that you make.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's really all tails down to. Bro, I want to talk about something though. Like, dude, you probably found your biggest set of sheds ever.
100%. Well, yes. Yeah, yes, 100%. And I was shaking when I found them, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, because, to break it down, when you shed hunt, what do you shed hunt for? Like, you're looking for potential shooter bucks. You're looking for survivors. Mm-hmm. And some of the sheds that I've already found this year, believe it or not, every shed that I've found is from a buck I already know. I already have history with. I already knew he survived from trail camera photos.
Yeah.
Which is still cool to pick him up and build that history and build that story or whatever. But when I found these sheds, this is like 100% a buck that I will be pursuing next year. And, I mean, that's what you do it for, you know? And, the feeling is so funny because I felt later that night when I was still like soaking it all in, I felt the same feeling. I felt like I punched a tag that day. Like I shot a shooter buck that day, where like when you scoop other sheds, it's like it's cool, but it's like a day you had a cool encounter with a buck and you passed them. But like these sheds were like, dude, I smashed one today. Like,
that was it. That is what it's. I think for me, like shed hunting is like punching that tag for sure. When you find that set that you're either you're looking for, or you find that are potentially that deer for you for next year. Now it's time to put the pieces of the puzzle together, you know, to try and find that end result, man.
Right.
And, I mean, every shed is a blast. Like I love finding antlers. I love searching for them and going out there and doing it. But when you particularly put the pieces of the puzzle together after finding those sheds, that's what it's really all about. I mean, that's why we shed hunt.
Right. I think the other thing too is like a lot of sheds that I find are decent deer this year that are going to be shooters next year.
Right.
When you find a set or a shed of a deer that would have been a shooter this year,
he's definitely
you're onto something. Yeah. So.
Yep. And they know that he made it through, and that's that.
Yep, he's healthy, so I'm freaking pumped. I didn't even have motivation to really go out today after finding him. I felt like I blew my load yesterday, but I still put in 4 miles today. Oh yeah, so then today, me and Rip take a quick little walk. We were actually over here at the house. I didn't really feel like going anywhere else, and I knew I had some looses out there because I got a bunch of sheds that I didn't match up. So I'm like, come on, Rip, let's go see if we can match up some of these sheds we found a couple weeks ago. So I'm standing there, and Rip comes walking over to me, and he's chewing on something. And at first I thought it was a rock, but Rip's not a rock chewer by any means. So I'm like, what the hell you got in your mouth? So Rip comes over, I reach in his mouth, take it from him. It's a freaking deer toenail. Like, it's a hoof, but it's not like the whole foot. It's just like what you call it, like a sheathing? Like a...
Yeah.
Just the toenail.
Yeah, the toenail.
So I'm like, that's a freaking deer toenail. I'm like, where the hell did you get that? So I'm like, that's pretty cool. So I take it out. I take a picture of it. I'm sending it to the, our group message or whatever. Yep. Well, I'm not paying attention because I'm texting you guys like, look at this shit Rip just found. All of a sudden, Rip comes back, and he had that look in his face like he wasn't chewing on it. You could tell he was like kind of hiding something. I'm like, now what do you got? I'm like, get over here. So he comes over, and I reach in there. He's got another freaking deer toenail in his mouth. So we found 2 deer toenails. I guess I didn't know, but I guess Rip's got a toe fetish.
A toe fetish. But, he's a foot dog.
So so I said, I'm like, where did you find that? Take me over there. So just like freaking Lassie. Yeah. Rip's like, come on, follow me, Dad. So I follow him over there. It was about 100 yards away. I found... there was a disruption in the leaves like you would normally find when with a coyote kill or whatever, with some deer hair and stuff like that. But I didn't find any skeletal remains. I did find one bone, but couldn't find any more bones. I looked around because usually they kind of drag it off and you kind of start finding a trail of bones. Yeah, and I didn't really find anything else. I didn't really spend a lot of time looking for it either. But first for me to have your dog bring you back to.
2 toenails?
2 deer toes.
Yeah, well, at least he's sniffing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no, that's definitely...
You never know what you're going to find when you go in the woods,
No, I'm just, I'm going to have to stay away from Rip because if he's got a foot fetish like that, I'm a little bit worried about it.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Watch that boy.
Yeah, we were out... we went out yesterday. We shed hunted a bit. I wanted to get into one of these bedding grounds where... I had a lot of real good encounters. One real good buck I really wanted to shoot real bad, and I went in there and tore that place up. And it's just a weird spot. And I knew going into it that there might not be a shed in there. I found Ruby found an old one, and because I don't shed hunt anymore now. You have a dog, if you rely on the dog, you don't really shed hunt anymore. I haven't found a shed in a while. just because she does it all. But the thing, so we ended up finding an old shed in there, and I just kind of put the pieces of the puzzle. There might be a shed or some sheds in there, but that whole bedding ground thing, it just capsulized what I needed to know for the next year, and it was good. And it's not normal for me because a lot of the times I'm shed hunting, and I mean, dude, normally I'd have 10, 15 sheds by now, and I haven't really put in any time or effort into it, and now just kind of focusing on what I'm going to do for next season. I mean, that's
your miles to shed ratio is pretty good.
Yeah,
though.
I think I'm like, so we did 2.5 yesterday. I'm probably between 3 to 3.5 miles, and I've gotten 3 antlers. So one a mile.
One shed per mile.
So I'm probably not going to shed hunt much for the rest of the season because I want to just keep that ratio up. So when the guys go, how many sheds did you get? I got 3, but the ratio was good, 1 mile per shed. So that's not bad. I'm doing good.
I run average over multiple years about 1 shed per 10 miles.
Yeah.
And I keep pretty good stats, so that's really accurate.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I clock all my stuff. I still have all my stuff from probably 2018, 2019, where I walked and what I did. But I used to shed hunt a lot of areas that you're not allowed to hunt. There's no hunting in, and you're going in there trying to find bone, and you're just, Joshua Trust or preserve lands or whatever to try and find a pile of bones, and they weren't huntable deer for me. And now, starting in the past couple of years, my shed numbers probably went down by like 5 or 10. But I'm finding more deer that I'm able to hunt and work on. I mean, dude, one of the properties, I had never shed hunted, but I hunted real hard, which is kind of weird. And it's just because you're focusing your time in other places. But like, dude, I found 8 sheds in that one fucking property. And you're like, last year. And I was like, oh, well, I probably should shed hunt here. And I probably should, I mean, I still hunt there a ton, but I never really, shed hunted it all that much. It's real tough. It's a tough area to do it, but whatever. I think after this week, I'll hit it a little bit harder.
I think the whole shed hunting, non-huntable property, that's a good thing for somebody who's like just getting into shed hunting or doesn't find a lot of sheds and stuff like that. Because you kind of acquire an eye for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard when you first start out shed hunting until you start finding them and seeing where you find them and what they look like laying in the leaves and all that stuff.
Well, the thing, too, is that those areas have giant sheds in them.
Right.
I mean, I found some fucking monster sheds. I mean, we have an 8-point that's 152 inches.
Right.
I mean, it's giant. It's number 3 in the state for 2022. I mean, it's a fucking giant. And that's overall Northeast Big Buck Club. But and that was in a non-huntable area.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's Ruby's first match set. But, like, for me to shed hunt those areas, that was just, personally, honestly, it was just for the dog.
Right.
Because I know that I'm putting in those miles and I'm putting her in a situation where I'm more apt to find sheds than to not find sheds. But now that she's honed in a lot of her skills and she's doing a lot better as a shed dog, I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
She's finding antlers in areas where it doesn't matter. At least you know what I'm saying? I mean, dude, fuck, she matched up that one set this year right off the rip. And then she found this one shed this year. I mean, she's primarily getting into her groove. She's 3.5 years old and she's getting to that veteran status where it's all just clicking. Like, like the thing with her is, and my training regimen was from a good buddy of mine, Rich, Yellow Shed Dogs. I mean, he's got Turtle, and Turtle's probably found, Turtle's probably found close to 2,000 sheds in its life. I mean, Turtle is probably one of the most savage shed dogs I've ever seen. And our buddy Ryan has another one, has his pup too, which is a phenomenal dog. But anyways, the regiment that I trained Ruby on is from Rich, and it's I don't even know what to call it. I call it a risk and reward, but so you send the dog out, finds a shed, brings a shed back, and they would normally give it a treat. Normally boiled chicken is what he uses in his regimen. Well, the thing with Ruby is Ruby's not food driven. So her drive is fetching. So that's when I went to a ball. So when she finds a shed, she gets to play fetch. Like, that's her favorite thing, being a lab. And there's a lot of dogs like that. There's a lot of drug dogs that are like that. I was actually talking to one of our listeners, Mike Joseph, and we were talking about, because he does bomb dogs, and it's the same thing, like squeakers, balls, so on and so forth. So that's the thing at Ruby is that's her drive is a ball. So now, before it was kind of like, all right, she gave me she'd bring me back a bone, and I'd have to force it out of her mouth to try and get it from her. And then I would throw the ball, and she would play fetch. Well, now that dog comes right to me, drops that bone right at my thing, sits down, waits, and she wants her ball. She knows right away. So that repetition, and it's really in her mind and instilling in her mind. But it's just fun to shed hunt with her, like we talk about all the time. Like, I could care less if we find an antler. I really could at this point. Like, just having a pal with me in the woods and not walk alone and just being there. And I've always said it since the day I got her is I don't care if she ever finds a shed as long as she lives. It doesn't affect me. Like, It doesn't. I'll find the sheds. I'm not worried about that. But to just be in the woods with your good pal, I mean, you have so much fun with your dog. I mean, dude, that poor dog couldn't even pick up those sheds. You wouldn't let him.
Well, I always let Rip scoop the sheds.
No matter what.
A lot of times I see him before he does.
Of course.
But I always stay back and let him find it for training reasons and all that stuff. These sheds, I said, Rip, hold on, boy. These ones are mine. All right, I give you all the other ones. I gotta have my time, right?
This is truth.
So it was cool, but no, I absolutely agree. Like, a lot of times, Rip's my motivation to get out of bed on a Saturday morning because I know he can tell when I start getting my shed hunting gear together. He starts getting excited. He knows what we're doing, and I know that if I don't go, I'm disappointing him.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me is like when the collar comes out and she knows that it's time to go somewhere and do something, she knows what she's going to do. She knows she's going to work. Right. I mean, it's the same with the gun dogs, man. When I was training gun dogs as a kid, I mean, when you pulled out the piece of orange, that dog knew what the hell was going on. And that dog, I mean, dude, I would piss off my mom, like if I would get all my shit ready the night before and I would pull out the orange vest, my dog wouldn't sleep all night long, just whine because she knew she was hunting in the morning. Then it's the same with Rue. I mean, if you pull out the collar, dude, she wants to go, and she knows that it is, and that's what she lives for, dude. The moose shed hunting is my favorite thing with her because that's like her forte. She's probably found more moose sheds than she's had whitetail sheds. That's her bread and butter. That's her thing. That's what she was trained on. That's what she was built on, and it's just so much fun to be up there. When you're in the northern woods of Maine, I mean, I'm 75 miles from a piece of tar. I mean, you're up there, and it's so surreal, and you're there with your best friend. I mean, that dog is, I mean, just like Rip is to you. I mean, that's my best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, if something was to happen to that dog, I don't know what I would do. I mean, that dog, I spent 3 years with her every waking moment. That dog goes everywhere with me. She does everything with me. So it's a crazy thing, but it's fun. I think it makes shed hunting, it makes me drive to go and do shed hunting more because I used to be just all about myself and finding numbers and piles. But to watch her work and do things, it just makes things a lot better for me, honestly, in the shed woods. So,
speaking of that, though, real quick, just touch on it. Devin's getting ready to have another litter.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
So,
we had a text message.
If any of the listeners are interested in getting a puppy, I think, what did he say? I think the litter's due in April, and they're going to be ready to go out in May. So for you guys that don't know, that's Wild Prairie Gun Dogs. If you want to get on that puppy list, just hit me up or hit up the Outdoor Drive podcast. I can get you guys details. I'll get you connected with Devin, right, so on and so forth. That line is 3/4 Ruby's line. So those dogs are going to be in that 60-pound range. That is, so it's the father, it's the top and bottom pedigree of Marduk's Rip, and it's 3/4 of the line of my dog, of Ruby. So it's a great line. They come from a very high-driven waterfowl home and also shed hunting. So that's what they're bred for, is shed hunting and waterfowl hunting. And they're phenomenal dogs. I mean, we've had them for some time now, and just the trainability on them is phenomenal. So if you guys want one, just reach out to us. Yeah, we'll get you a hold of Devin.
We'll get you pointing.
Sarah's already been talking to him. It sounds like we're gonna get a chocolate female now. So
yeah, and that line. Rip and Ruby are both reds. But this litter is going to be a tricolor, so you could potentially have yellows, browns, blacks, reds.
Right. Well, we were originally supposed to get Sarah's always wanted a chocolate.
Right.
And we were looking, and then, kind of fell into Devin with, Rip's litter, and I talked her into the red, and we ended up with Rip, but I still owe her that chocolate. So
yeah, and I'm breeding Ruby and gonna have reds, full reds. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of shout outs and stuff, let's get on over to Manish and have him tell us a story.
Oi, you! Yeah, you! Put down that mug of Joe and get your lips wrapped round one of these bad boys. That's right. Nor'easter game calls. Give it a blow. Nor'easter game calls. Get 'em in close. This winter, use Huntworth's Heat Boost products for impeccably warm body parts, guaranteed. Get more for less with Huntworth. New Era Archery, home of the Zeus Broadheads as well as the Hera. Let the Zeus loose with New Era Archery. I would just like to thank our generous sponsors. Back over to you, Trevor.
We thank you, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, the sponsors who keep us going. We're going to add to that list here soon. We got a couple new sponsors that are going to hit the sponsors list that are standing behind the outdoor drive. Make sure to get on over to those guys' websites. Check them out. It's the time of the year to get your stuff, get it all situated, work on it in the backyard, play around with things, get your game calls, so on and so forth. It's that time of the year. But, bro, you got any Killer's Corner going on?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What do you got?
I don't know. I got to get my phone out.
I don't know. Come on, tell us.
For this. All right. We got David Cook with a couple more coyotes.
He's killing it up there.
He's always killing coyotes. Alexandra Fagan put up her first beaver.
Congrats.
Congrats.
That's cool.
Yep. And then Sean Finelli, he's new to the group. He posted up did you see that picture?
The mule deer with the kid, right?
With the two kids in the tailgate.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then happy birthday, Nick Albanese.
Yeah.
Nicky Two Blades, I call him.
Nicky Two Blades. Nick the man from New Era Archery. He is the owner and creator of the Zeus Broadheads. And today is his birthday. His birthday is February 20th, that's when we're actually recording.
Yeah,
so
podcast land.
Podcast land.
We had another birthday. I say podcast land in every.
Yeah.
Josh Brower.
Yeah, Josh Brower had a birthday.
And
too.
Colby. They have the same birthday. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know who would ever want to share a birthday with Colby, but.
Josh has no choice, so.
Or share it with Josh. Why would you? Never mind. It's all good. Let's break for a New Scary Cruise. We'll get Mike Salter on the line.
All right, guys. Why don't we buckle up and see what's going on in the world of news with Mr. Mike Salter.
Hey everyone, we're going to start this one off in Michigan, where the DNR has completed review of its 7th group of counties as part of the department's multi-year state land review process. The counties that were reviewed were Sheboygan, Crawford, Eaton, Ingham, Jackson, Kalkaska, Missaukee, Muskegon, Osceola, Otsego, and Ottawa. The DNR evaluated more than 30,000 acres across the counties to determine which properties meet the DNR's goals of delivering broad public access to quality outdoor recreation opportunities and also protecting native and cultural resources, or natural and cultural resources on those lands. All the parcels were placed into one of 4 categories. The first one is retain them because they are a good fit for the DNR's mission. Next is protect them through agreements with conservation partners, trade them to consolidate state ownership, or make them available for sale to the public through auction. The results of the evaluation has the DNR retaining 82% of the lands, offering to alternate conservation partners 3.1% of the lands, exchange and trading 3.5%, and disposing through public auction 11.4%. Now, good or bad, that's still 18% of public lands changing hands that you hunters, fishers, and trappers utilize. The DNR does have a state land review interactive map where you can review the recommendations and submit comments. The public is also invited to participate in virtual meetings on March 1st and 2nd to share input on the outcomes of the review. So if you hunt public land or utilize these public lands in these counties, you better see if those lands are being retained or not, and provide your comments. Now to Iowa, where the DNR's Learn to Hunt program is offering a program to teach the skills needed to hunt, field dress, and cook wild turkey to adults with little or no wild turkey hunting experience. The 2-part workshop is scheduled from 6 to 9 p.m. on March 9th and 16th at Olafson Shooting Range near Polk City, and will feature instructors providing hands-on learning to build basic knowledge and skills of turkey hunting. Participants will learn about turkey hunting equipment, where to hunt, safe shooting practices, and how to field dress, prepare, and cook wild turkey. The course is designed for those 16 and older. Cost $25 and space is limited, so early registration is recommended through the DNR's website. Now to Vermont and some moose hunting opportunity. The Fish and Wildlife Department has again proposed additional moose tags for WMUE in the northeastern corner of the state. This is due to the continued effort to reduce the moose population in that particular area in order to reduce the impact of winter ticks on moose in that area. The department has proposed 180 permits for WMUE, and the proposal was given initial approval by the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Board at its February meeting and is now available for public comment. The proposal is to issue 80 either sex and 100 antlerless permits for the October seasons, with the expected harvest of 100 moose, or about 10% of the population in that WMU. The 2023 moose harvest recommendations and information about the ongoing moose study are available at Vermont Fish and Wildlife's website. And comments on the proposal can be provided through March 31st by emailing anr.fwpubliccomment@vermont.gov. Now to Wyoming, in the 2023 Super Tag drawing, which raised $1.87 million for wildlife conservation. Fish and Game saw a record-breaking number of tickets sold this year, for 11 chances to get a license for the state's premier big and trophy game. This year, just shy of 145,000 tickets were sold, which was a 15% increase from last year. And to date, the program has raised over $11 million for top conservation issues. Winners will chase 10 species this fall. And for those interested, raffle tickets are now available for the 2024 drawing, and those will be sold through January 31st of next year. Now to Nebraska, where Nebraska Game and Parks will be hosting fly tying workshops in March. These workshops will be held on March 8th from 6 to 9 p.m. and March 12th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Nebraska Outdoor Education Center in Lincoln. The workshop is open to new and experienced tyers and costs $10 per session, which will include all tools and materials needed. Participants will have the opportunity to tie 4 to 6 flies, and different variations of flies will be introduced at each of those sessions. For more information or to register, go to calendar.outdoornebraska.gov. Lastly, for all you Summit climber folks, Summit has just released a recall notice. The recall notice is for the Summit Viper Level Pro SD climbing tree stand, which was released in January 2022 and sold through October 2022. Anyone with these stands needs to discontinue use immediately and return them to the manufacturer for a full refund. Summit will arrange for the stands to be returned at no cost to you. And for more information on returns and refunds, you can go to www.summitstands.com/recall-notices. So stay safe out there and get those stands returned. As always, if you have anything to send to me, it'd be greatly appreciated. Reach out to me at Mike Salter on Facebook or bearded_bowhunter21 on Instagram. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for that. And Bowhunters United will get with you guys as we had talked about. I think that they're going to sponsor that segment and kind of keep you guys all informed of what's going on in the news in the world today. Speaking of the news in the world today, should we get on over? Let's get Craving Wild on the phone. This is a good podcast. This is definitely a good one. So let's get the Dan and the boys on the podcast here.
Send it.
How we doing, guys?
What's going on?
Doing good.
Everyone's alive over there? Everything's good? No technical difficulties?
No, I'm good over here, yeah.
All right. That's good. You guys sound great. You guys have great voices, by the way.
Well, that's why we do podcasts, not video, because you don't want to see what we look like.
You have the voice for radio? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take what we can get. It's like Howard's turn.
Well, he's got video anything you want to give us, man, we're good.
Yeah, but he's famous now. That's why he has video. Oh, that's true. Yeah, we got like 3 hoodies, $27 to our name.
It's the story of my life,
You guys got some
dude.
fire hoodies, though. I will tell you that. I'm jealous of that heat.
I appreciate that.
That heat transfer. I got to look into that stuff.
I love the new logo.
So
it's sick.
I talked to somebody else about that, and they said that that's like literally 1914 technology. So we might have got bamboozled. I'm not sure.
Straight bamboozled. That's some cricket ass shit. Someone's doing it in their basement. Is what's going on with that.
That's
100% what's going on.
That was the process after they were branding cattle. They decided to brand a hoodie
with heat transfer,
and then came screen printing.
Yeah. Well, as you guys might know, is when you do something like this and you start this endeavor or whatever, trying to be like an entrepreneur or whatever, you're gonna throw darts at the wall, and some things are gonna stick, and then some of them you're like, oh man, why did I even think of that? That is the dumbest thing I ever tried doing in my entire life. I failed
sometimes
epically.
You just totally miss the wall. Like sometimes you just miss the wall.
Well, before we miss the wall, why don't we put this thing in overdrive? Why don't you guys start from the top, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you guys do?
All right. Well, I guess I'll start. I'm Dan Smelts. I started the whole Craving Wild idea, I don't even know, 2001, I think, and just kind of been slowly, progressively moving along and picked up guys throughout the way, and you'll hear their intros here shortly. But yeah, I'm Northeast PA bound, been hunting my whole life. Just love the outdoors and love doing anything and everything in the wild. That's kind of where the Craving Wild name came from. You know, if you crave it and it's in the wild, we want to be there. So in a short gist form, that's pretty much who I am and the quick Craving Wild story.
All right, what's up, guys? I'm Kevin Rogers. I am everything that Dan is not. I was born and raised in New York City, Staten Island. I didn't touch a bow. No hunting in the family, no nothing. Didn't touch a bow until last year. But once I did, I was hooked. And the word Craving Wild, when I heard it, it's exactly how I'm feeling every day right now. I just want to get outdoors. I want to get my family involved. I got 3 kids. I don't want them on video games all day and all that shit. So, I mean, everything that name says, I'm just feeling it. Like, I want to go. We went ice fishing. I want to go ice fishing. We go, whatever we do, I want to be there. I love this lifestyle, man. This was my first true year of hunting. Last year, I gave it a go. I didn't really understand it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Luckily, I fell into a job where Dan was, and he just been guiding me ever since. So it's been a ride this last year, to say the least, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. My name is Antonio Blas. I am actually from South America, born and raised down there, and I moved to the States in 2001. And I grew up in the wild too, man. Dan calls me the Venezuelan redneck. I think I'm one of a kind because I don't know any other Venezuelans. You are. There's no thinking you are. I don't think there's another Venezuelan that I know that likes what I like. I was born, my grandfather had a big farm down in Venezuela, so I was born going to that farm a lot, and I hunted since I got photos of me hunting when I was 5 for, whales and little birds, stuff like that. And, I've been doing it since. Now I live here in Northeast PA, and got a little girl, and yeah, anything that's outdoors, man, I like to do it. Anything. I do a lot of fishing, a lot of hunting, but any excuse I can get to be outside will be the perfect thing for me. And that's how I met, Dan 5 years ago, I think now, 5 or 6 years ago. It's been a while. Yeah. And we've been talking and hunting together, but we're very good when we're not together. We have a streak that we call we call it the BTS now because it's a break the streak is what we're trying to do. And every time Antonio and myself are together, nothing dies, nothing happens. But when we're separate, like all we do is kill stuff. Yeah. So we're trying. I don't know what it is, but when we're together, it just cannot seem to happen for us. It's horrible. We got good stories though.
There's nothing wrong with that though. As long as you guys are getting it done, it doesn't have to be together as much as you want it to, right?
Right. So we do have a 4th guy. He wasn't able to make it on because he's been working all day. Eddie Kaiser. He's pretty much been hunting his whole life too. He grew up in I guess I would call that South Central PA, and ended up moving up towards me and was a bow tech down the road for me. and that's where we met from shooting bows and stuff. And so yeah, he's part of it. He's like the resident trapper for us and the bow tech guy, and just a plethora of knowledge when it comes to pretty much anything hunting related.
So
I wish he was on, but
yeah, I know. We
Couldn't
could have
make
talked trapping the whole time. You guys wouldn't have had anything to say.
You guys didn't get that out of your system in aisle 7 of the Harrisburg show?
No, they were walking away from each other when they started talking about it, actually. Eddie was with us at the show.
yeah, he wouldn't shut up the whole ride about you. It's like you fell in love again. It was crazy.
Well, tell him this. I'm up to 39 beavers and 6 otters. So.
Damn.
Oh, he's 1 beaver, 1 otter. He finally caught his otter.
Oh, he got it. I was going to ask
I
that.
just saw
Did he get it?
Yesterday, was it?
Yep.
Today? Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah,
I don't know what today is.
I saw it
that's
on your
awesome.
story.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he
man.
finally got it. We did a whole episode on it. It'll be out Tuesday, I believe. So that's tomorrow.
That's sick because he had said that he had put a bunch of people on otters, but he just hadn't gotten his yet. So.
Yeah, he was so focused on getting his dad one and his buddies, and his buddy dad got one, and then he's kind of just sitting in the back like, yo, like when's my time? Like when's it my time to catch one?
When I'm the guy putting everybody on him.
Yeah, he does all the work. He was running cameras and all that stuff, and scouting and all that, and telling the guys where to put the traps and everything.
Jeez. Well, at least he got it, man. It's not an easy animal to catch, but at least he got it.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
why don't you dive into exactly what Craving Wild is, for those that probably don't know or haven't listened to your podcast or seen your videos or what might have you.
Right. So we're just starting. So we don't have a ton of content right now out. It's basically an outdoor media company is what I would just call it. We're going to be heavy in podcasts, and YouTube and Instagram. So Antonio's a professional photographer. He didn't say that, I don't think.
No, I did.
So he's going to be, he does phenomenal photo work. And then, as a group, we're going to be doing YouTube videos for hunting, fishing, overlanding, and camping. And then we're going to mix it all together and pretty much, incorporate that into the food aspect of what Craving Wild is. So that's what the craving came from, which was like, you're just craving something, and when you're hungry, you're craving food. And then the wild was just obviously anything in the wild. So like that's kind of the mix on the Craving Wild.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna try and do a food portion to every video we do, or kind of incorporate that in some way, shape, or form, because that's a way that you can get through to pretty much everybody, right? Like when you start talking food, everybody's interested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that's a way to a man's heart right through their stomach.
Absolutely. And we're coming for your heart, boy. But yeah, I mean, we're just gonna kind of be everywhere. Nothing particular. Obviously, it's gonna be heavy in the hunting because that's what we do most of the time, what we prepare for most of the time. But we're gonna be sprinkling in a lot of other things too.
I think it's awesome. I think that's a great platform. It's kind of you like put everything that you could right into one entity, where the food, the hunting, the fishing. I mean, when you put it all together like that, like because you have there's some content creators that are just strictly hunting or strictly bow hunting, or you know what I'm saying,
but strictly one species
or one species. Yeah. But to put the food aspect into it, I think that's huge.
That's exactly not want to get sucked into. Like the Northeast bow hunters, the Northeast fish. Like we wanted it to be open ended. I mean, anything outdoor, you can cook it, how you can cook it, all that stuff is going to be covered as best we can.
Now, Kevin, you're a cook yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I grew up in a kitchen, man. My mom owned a catering business my whole life, and I grew up in a kitchen and ended up in the HVAC world. But I've been cooking a long time, and that was another thing that kind of sucked me into the hunting aspect of it. I never really fully broke down an animal, never did the whole process through, and man, that's addicting.
So how did you get into that? Like did Dan show you how all this works? Like as a newer hunter, like where did you get this whole learning how to do it, or even the jump or the drive to even want to do it?
So I was out on COVID leave, and good old Steve Rynell was on Netflix. And I was just watching the hunting show with that Meat Eater. And then hearing like Rogan talk about it and all these other guys, I kind of piqued a little bit of interest. But then when I walked into work, I was with Dan and 3 other guys who were just avid hunters. They love it. And I said, man, I'd really like to start bow hunting. And like 3 heads popped up, like when you see deer on the side of the road, their heads just pop up, and they were all just like, "What do you want to do?" And Dan kind of just took me under his wing, man. Everything I killed went, Dan walked me through the process of everything, and it's been, I mean, within a week, I think there was a bow sitting on my desk at work, and then a sight, then a release, and then this guy telling me how I'm going to shoot it. A lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but a lot of help from a lot of friends. So once I started shooting properly and everything else, it was an addiction after that, man. I love shooting in the yard, and then my first kill was this year, and that was the shakes. You guys know. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no way to describe that feeling, and like I said, I'm hooked. And then the whole cooking aspect of it, tying it all together. I mean, Dan showed me how to butcher a deer. We're still working on that. That's going to take a while, but I mean, he can cut up a deer in probably a half an hour. It's amazing. And yeah, he's just been walking me. He's been really patient with me. I've just been asking questions. He's been helping me out, and it's been a process. But I'm lucky to have the people I do.
Dan, what was some of like the trials and tribulations that you had to go through trying to teach a new hunter?
How long do you want this podcast?
Yeah, whatever. Spit it, bro. I think that's an insult to Kev. I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's not, man. That's why I'm here, dude. That's why I'm here, because I ask questions that these guys don't, because I'm so raw.
Kevin's been great. Like, Kevin's been probably the greatest student one could ever ask for, just because he's willing to ask questions, and he's willing to like just go, oh, okay, I guess that's just how we're going to start doing it. And and he's really receptive to what you say, and he tries new things too. Like, he just doesn't do exactly what you say. Like, he's willing to go off and something he might learn on a YouTube or another podcast or something, and be like, oh, well, what about this? Like, he's constantly trying to throw into the conversation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which shows that he's willing to learn. He's not just trying to go kill a deer and have you take care of it and do all that stuff. Like, he's constantly learning and trying to evolve and become that what kind of all of us are in our, I don't know what you want to call it, in your hunting career, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it for me it's been awesome, because we get so enamored with like inches and all that stuff, and your whole season is based around trying to change.
Dan, you cut out.
He hit the mute button.
Mic drop.
I have my thing on silent. So for when Kevin first came to me to do it, I was like I've always wanted to teach somebody, from the start, and I didn't really know how to get through to younger kids. I just don't have the patience for younger kids, to be honest. And so it was a perfect opportunity when Kevin came into this whole idea of hunting, and it really brought me back. It was refreshing for me, because it brought me back to the basics of just the most simple things of, like, when just walking through the woods, how to walk through the woods quietly, what you're looking for, where the deer are supposed to be, where you're going to set up a stand, how you set up a stand if you're in a stand. The tools and equipment that goes with everything, like breaking down a shot, like an archery shot, like how you're supposed to stand, how you're supposed to draw, when you're supposed to draw, all that stuff. So, we can go on and on and on for hours and just like how we went about it. But it's been, like I said, so refreshing for me just to take that step back and get away from like the pressures of just constantly and continually chasing, big deer or big bears or whatever it is that you're going after, like target species, and going after the bigger things. So yeah, for me, it was just refreshing. It was just a refreshing step back, and the size of the antler didn't matter. Like, we were just whacking and stacking does and butchering them and doing that whole process of cooking and stuff like that. So for me, that's what it was just like that breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I think it's good to go back to the basics when you're trying to teach somebody new. I had similar experience with a friend of mine that's trying to hunt again, and just going out with new people, you put back into perspective things that I don't think anymore. Like he said, walking in the woods, you have to know how to walk in the woods. It's a lot of people are like, really? There's no just walking. I'm like, no, there's a way to walk in the woods, and you can tell who's been, walking or hunting all his life just by taking him outside for a little bit. You're like, oh, he knows, what to do. But I agree with you that teaching somebody new is so good because again, you revive the basics of everything that we do that we don't pay attention to no more. It's just naturally comes.
Yeah, you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And
Just to
Antonio
bounce
had
off,
a guy too, a new guy that you've been taking
Yeah.
out hunting. So yeah, it's different. It's fun.
It is. Yeah.
just to bounce off you guys real quick, I just want to say, like, you're talking about walking through the woods. I remember going down to Delaware, and we kept getting out of the car, and I would just keep slamming the door. And Dan's head would turn so hard, man. Finally, he just looks at me, and he's like, "Dude, you got to stop shutting the fucking door."
That's so funny because growing up, that's probably the first thing you learn from your old man when you grow up hunting.
Oh,
is
yeah.
like, you do that 3 times and you'll never do it again because your dad's gonna beat your
That's
ass.
Kev. He's never gonna do that ever again. It's so.
No, man, I shut my door in
engraved.
front of my house like a kid.
It's crazy though because like in all reality, like all of us, I guess we take it all for granted.
Yes.
I know like me and Dan, Antonio, and Steve taking that stuff for granted because you're like, you know, you would talk to someone and like even us being on podcasts, you know, not that we're like crazy senior veterans or anything. I mean, we all have a lot to learn and, you know, we learn every single day, but like people look up to us for our advice sometimes. And I think that we take that stuff for granted where we're just like, what do you mean you don't know what doe bedding is? What do you mean you don't know the sign that you're looking for? What do you mean? Like, are you an idiot? You know, like that's what we think in our heads kind of sometimes. You're like, why do I have to explain this? But nobody ever explained it to them. It was explained to us at a young age. We don't remember it being explained to us, but it was always it just worked into where we just knew what that stuff was. And a lot of people that just get into it don't know.
The difference is it was embedded in you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it was explained. This was like you were raised this way. So like it's just there's zero hunting in my family.
Right.
So it just wasn't a thing. I lived in the city. The most woods I had was a 20-yard tree line between residential houses and a golf course.
Right.
So I mean, yeah.
Do you think that adds a different perspective as far as when you're trying to build content or grow the Craving Wild business? Like, do you think that this adds a different dynamic to it?
Yeah, I do. I do a lot. I think this actually adds a dynamic that most, I think, brands don't have, is like that new hunter who's willing to learn. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Just the way sometimes Kevin will ask me a question I don't even know how to answer because it's in my brain it's so basic, and I gotta take a step back and go, how the hell am I gonna answer this question? Like, I don't even, you know, and it's like all of us have probably been hunting what 20, 25, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 20, 30 years of trial and error to make our answers what they are, whereas Kevin is just kind of like asking questions as if a normal day. And I think Kevin is gonna have to when he asks the question, he's gonna have to take it with like a grain of salt because we can answer them, but unless he puts it to the test and he makes his own errors, it's so situational. Yeah, it's so situational too. Because this guy that I took hunting this time, I took him waterfowl hunting, and I told him it's like you're gonna be quiet, you're gonna be not moving, and when I tell you to shoot, you're gonna get up and shoot. Because we're not going to have enough chances, especially here in the Northeast. The waterfowl is not very good in a lot of the days. And we got finally some sort of live bird drop in. And I'm like, shoot. And he goes, now? And I'm like, no, yeah, right. Get up and shoot. Like I said it with such a don't be an idiot, just shoot. But because it was like a moment thing. I was like, shoot it. He goes, right now? I'm like, yeah, get up and shoot. And he was like, oh, like he felt like I was being like maybe like an asshole, but I was that's so normal for us. Yeah, bro. If I say shoot, you know what to do. Yeah, there's no questioning. So I think the best thing that Kevin has is learning. Everybody's seeing how he learns, which it's going to be a basic for everybody's going to be like, oh, I remember doing that when I was a kid. Yeah, closing the door. And to answer your question too, Trev, so he's going to be able to tap into anybody who wants to get into hunting. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge, benefit for us is the fact that we have a new guy on our team that can relate to the people, and then that we can build content to help new hunters from a new hunter's point of view, not from somebody who's been doing it for 30 years.
So that's kind of why I tapped into it so hard, because I think it's so important for the new hunters, because there's a lot of people that listen to podcasts to learn, right? And all of us are kind of naive to that, and we just talk about all these extravagant techniques and this and that, and we expect everybody to know. But I think it's so important for people like yourself, Dan, or me, or Steve, or whatever. Like when I bring a youth out hunting, to go back to those basics, like Antonio was saying, how important it is to make yourself a successful hunter in the long run, to go back to those basics and remember them. Even as simple as going bluegill fishing. I mean, just to remember where you came from and how it all started for you is a huge, huge thing. Because when I go, I'm a professional fisherman for a living, right? We catch giant fish, been catching giant fish my entire life. And then you go back to pumpkin seed fishing with the kids, and you then remind yourself why you do it, what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? Because you get so sucked into chasing big deer and chasing big fish and killing piles of waterfowl. But when you go back to the basics and you just realize it, you don't get so... You just get taken back. It's just a humbling moment. And I think it's very important. It makes it fun again. Yeah. And I think it's so important. We all get so caught up in, all this craziness that we see on TV and stuff, but you got to just remember where you came from. I mean, you got to always humble yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to learn anything neither. Even as a veteran hunter, you're not going to learn anything if you don't humble yourself. Yeah. I mean, it's just not going to, because you're going to think you know everything. So
yeah, that's true. Do you guys have kids?
No kids. Nope.
No kids. Well, I just last year I just taught my daughter trying to teach her how to fish, and the bluegill fishing it's wonderful. Just by just going to what you just said about the bluegill. We try to take my daughter on the boat, and she has a blast now. She likes to catch him without anything on the hook, just the hook, just because she can now. And then she grab hot dogs, and we make dough, just little flour bait for the bluegills, and she's like, well, let's make it pink today and blue today. And I'm having a blast just with that, and just seeing her start from the beginning. It's I think better than anything that I could imagine by just going back to that basic stuff. Even though I didn't have bluegills in Venezuela, but
you know what I think the best part is, now that I've actually had time to think about what we're asking, is seeing the reaction from somebody who doesn't have a preconceived notion of what the reaction's supposed to be.
100%.
That's like getting so excited for shooting a doe, or getting so excited for catching a bluegill, getting so excited just for seeing a duck in the air.
Yeah.
For us, we have the bar is so high for us. And being able to take that bar back down, like you said, Trev, back to reality, go back to humble. You got to humble yourself.
You do.
That's one thing I'll never forget is the conversation. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good.
One thing I won't forget is the conversation. Well, kind of the conversation that me and Kevin had after he just shot a deer, because I don't even think he was speaking English at the time. It was just rattled, just so rattled and so excited, and his adrenaline was through the roof, and I was just I'm rapid firing questions, basic stuff that we would ask for,
where you shoot him,
where do you hit him, what's the deer reaction, which way did it run, did you hit the deer, and every answer was I don't know.
I had no idea.
Actually, I don't know.
How did it sound? What's it supposed to sound like? I don't know.
I don't know.
So yeah, that's one thing that's been cool too. Is that once again, that whole just getting back to the basics and the pure raw excitement.
Yeah, so I bring youths out every single year turkey hunting, and turkey hunting's one of those things because it's such a high adrenaline hunt anyways to begin with, talking back and forth with the birds. They're coming, this, that, and the other thing. The birds start strutting, this, that, and the other thing. So I have one junior hunter that I bring out. I've been bringing him out. I think it's my third year with him. And he had some jakes come in, but he wanted a tom. So the two jakes came in. We had them gobbling. They were doing crazy things. He ends up passing the jakes. He wants a tom, because he shot jakes before. So he wants a tom. So we then moved on and tried to get a tom to come in again. And that Jake came in and he was gobbling so hard, and we're like, do you want to shoot him? He's like, I think I do. And he shot that thing, and it was just like the most surreal thing. He just like lost it. And it was just like, it brought me back to that time, like when I was a kid, and you're just like, like, you know, because you just like lose it, dude. And I still lose it, but not to that level. But you still lose it. And it's just.
And you can't replicate that feeling.
No way.
No.
How would you explain that, Kevin? Like that feeling. How do you explain that feeling that we're trying to talk about?
Man, I can't explain that. Like I had completely damn near blacked out first shot I took. No idea. And then when I took the shot, 3 other deer that I didn't know existed popped up. So it was like that game when the ball's underneath the cup. And they're just moving around. So it's like, which way did the deer run? I'm like, I have no idea. There's 4 of them. And then the first deer happened so quickly that the next time I had a really slow encounter where the shakes really kicked in. And that I can't explain. I mean, the shakes are something that is, I mean, it takes all the heat out of your body. You go numb. I mean, I've never been that. I don't know, nervous, scared, whatever that feeling was. I want it again. I need a monster to come by. Like that's what I was chasing the rest of the year. That feeling, because it was like a slow encounter, and then it was yelling at me and shit. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was crazy, man. I was just shaking to my core, like. I'm about to kill this thing, and I didn't even get a shot off on it.
As your career slowly gets, not better, but as your career goes on and you start to chase bigger and bigger and bigger deer, that feeling just magnifies times 10. I don't know how many times in my life that I've been in a tree stand and I literally have to take a second and go, all right, I'm not having a heart attack. Like, you literally think that you're having a heart attack, man. Like,
yeah, you do. And this is for a doe. This was like your everyday doe. I'm not talking about an 8-pointer. I'm talking about a deer, a regular deer.
Just brown, fuzzy deer.
Just a 4-legged creature. Yeah.
That's it, man.
I even get like that with does, though. Like, when you see them, and the thing with that is, like, if they just pop out of nowhere, I'm good. Like, draw, shoot, all right, I lose my shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the adrenaline still goes. If I have to watch that thing more than 15 seconds, dude, I'm a mess, bro. I'm just like,
that's what it was.
I'm like drooling like a lost puppy. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, I have to kill this thing. I don't know.
And isn't it wild? Like, if you don't have a doe tag, you don't shake at all. But once that thing in your head clicks, like, oh, I gotta kill, like, I'm gonna kill this or try to, like, you just completely lose, like, your brain power.
Well, how about Mardik when you were filming? He didn't. Mardik didn't even have a tag.
Well, I had a tag, but
I'm saying he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't.
It was actually my first time filming. I was filming for Trev, and a doe came out, and I'm like, oh my god, Trev's gonna shoot this doe, and I got to film it. Dude, I swear to God, I was shaking like a film. I was so worried I was gonna mess it up or I wasn't gonna hit record, and then Trev ended up missing the doe anyways.
Hey, buddy, I get those shakes every time before I shoot. So, and I'm doing this for like 10 years already.
The thing, like he's filming. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's filming me. I got to shoot this doe 21 yards, dude, right over the top of its back. Like, just adrenaline was going. Like, you're just like, all right, it's all coming together. He's filming. I'm shooting. Here it comes. Oh, fuck, I missed.
So much pressure on each other.
He looks at me. I look at him. He thinks, I don't know if he thought I was going to be mad or something because it was one. I took him to one of my spots. I'm laughing. I'm like, dude, I'm just so glad you're the one that fucked it up and it wasn't me.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's fun. I can't wait to take Kevin turkey hunt because he's going to come unglued. Hammering in your face.
Yeah.
I've very rarely shot a gun in my life. So.
Dude,
I'm super stoked about it.
Turkeys were made for getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Big red Orvises jumping through the woods. You, Dan, what you need to do is make sure you have a GoPro like in his face at all times. Like, you know how like you know how like they have like the harmonica things where they put the harmonica on your shoulders and then you just go down and you pick it up. You need to put a GoPro on it and it just is right in Kevin's face the whole entire time just for reaction purposes.
That would be fantastic. I just want to see his face when the gobbler is just going at it for 13 minutes and he doesn't come close enough. Then he has to do it 17 more times.
Or the thing
That's
is,
the worst. Yeah.
You know what I do to my friends when they turkey hunt with me? Like I'll call the bird in, and it will be in shooting range, 30 yards, 20 yards, right? And I just tell them, no, not yet, hold on, not yet. Just keep them coming. We get them at like 7 yards. All right, shoot them in the face. It's the most messed up thing.
I'm going with him.
That's fantastic. Oh, dude, Trev gets on the bird, man. You guys are just bird killers.
So there's this dude, Justin. Actually, I met him through. He hunted the same property as me, and this past season, the guy wanted to go out turkey hunting with me, and I was like, all right, cool, man. We're gonna go hunt the same property. There was a couple birds there. I had been watching the birds. I was really excited to kill those birds. So I called this turkey in, opening morning, comes down this hill, comes right in, right to the decoy, man. I put this thing at like 10 yards, and he shoots, and he misses it, okay? His adrenaline was going so much, and I'm yelling, shoot again, and he ends up shooting the decoy, and the decoy spins on the thing. But when you do it, man, and like I said, I call him in as close as I can possibly get him. I mean, I put that decoy at 5 yards, and I want him to come to that thing. I want him in your face. Like when he gobbles, I want the hair on your back to stand up, man. Like just let him come. They're stupid. They're dumb, man. They're the only animal in the world that will literally die trying to breed. I mean, they don't care at all costs. Whatever it takes to breed, they don't care. And they will die just trying to breed. I mean, they're worse than the male human. I'm telling you, definitely way worse.
They really are, and you still can't. And what's frustrating is they're so stupid, but you still can't kill them.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth.
So frustrating.
It is. I can't wait for.
There's no rhyme or reason. And me too. I'm getting excited now that we're talking about it.
It gets me going, man. It really does. Kev, you'll understand soon. I promise.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I have no idea, but like, I'm really excited for it.
I'm just waiting for the questions, and I'm just gonna go. I don't know. It was supposed to happen, but it didn't.
Is it coming? I don't know.
I don't know.
If I knew the answer, it would already be dead.
Yeah. Just remember something, Kevin. If Dan or me says shoot, you shoot. Don't say now.
I wrote that down earlier.
Oh, funny story. Back to going to when Kevin decided he wanted to bow hunt. He originally wanted to hunt with a recurve, and everybody was like, "So you don't want to kill anything?" Huh? And he just looked at us like, "What do you mean?" I think he understands that now.
I do. Yeah.
But honestly, you know, it's funny that you bring that up. If you start off trying to do something and trying to push yourself to those limits with that weapon, you're gonna make yourself successful. That was my thought process. And it's gonna be harder, but you're gonna do it. I mean, like, we have a friend, Kendall. This dude literally, he hunts only with a recurve. He shot in the last 11 years, 9 elk. He shot his Dall sheep with it, and literally will only pick up a recurve.
But he's never shot a compound.
He's never shot a compound in his life, and it just makes
when did he start shooting?
Little boy.
A little boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was afraid. I didn't want Kevin to. Well, first of all, he's got to justify all this time and money to his wife. You know, he's got kids and stuff, and I just didn't want him to kind of just lose that. I don't know, just get lost with it because it's so much more difficult with the recurve. So I kind of I actually wanted him to start with a rifle hunt. He's like, no, I want to do bow. And I was like, all right, well then we'll just do compound then.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I do agree with it, especially because with something like that, you have to literally shoot every day for 15 minutes. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only way that you're going to make yourself successful, and you're going to hold yourself to. It's like being a camera guy. If you don't bring your camera, it's useless, right? But you have to bring it and use it no matter what. And the only way you're going to get good and get the footage that you want is by using it every single hunt and not leaving it at home. And it's the same with a recurve. Like, you have to practice. You have to bring it. You have to do it. I mean, it's just a repetition type of thing where you have to do it all the time.
Oh, for sure. I get that way with Antonio because he's a professional, like we said, professional photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I'm a semi not pro.
Okay.
So I just have good equipment but no skill. And then I'll be trying to figure something out, and he'll be like, "Just give me the camera." And he takes a photo. It's like perfect. I'm like, "You're such a dick."
Yeah. Now you know how I feel.
Yeah.
Every day.
Dan is my Kevin.
For photography. Yes, exactly. What's this button do? I don't know. Hit it.
Just press it.
Yeah, see what happens.
Poor Kevin. Poor Kevin. I feel
Hey,
bad.
that's part of being the young guy here in the well, not the young guy, but the amateur, the new guy.
Yeah, I think I'm the oldest guy in the
we gotta
group.
bust the balls a little bit.
We got to bully somebody.
Just a little bit.
It's like the intern. He's like the intern.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's the intern. That's awesome.
Intern Kev.
I'm sorry, Kev. I fed you
Thanks,
to the
bud.
wolves, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, bud.
I'll be
Yeah.
getting coffee in no time.
No cream, no sugar.
Yeah.
I get
Well,
him
I got it
extra
from here. I got it from here. I think I got it.
extra cream, extra sugar, French vanilla. He likes whipped cream on his hot chocolate.
Oh, look, a bar of soap in my coffee.
All right, Farva.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's stupid.
You know what's awesome too is like the dynamic too. Like, look at us now. We're just all like my cheeks hurt from laughing. Like, we're all just busting each other. No one takes it serious, and I think that's like a good showcasing of just like a good group of guys that just really enjoy doing what we do on a daily basis.
That's an important thing, man. Like, so, like, obviously, like, we just started a new crew, right, and added to our crew, and it's a nerve-wracking thing, like, having that many people and so many different dynamics from so many walks of life, like, and being on different levels, that it's very important that everybody gets along, and everybody, they have their own input on everything, and, you have to get along, you have to smile, you have to laugh, no matter what. I mean, if you're not doing that, then what fun is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be like that. Like, it's not an option.
It does. Yeah, you have to, and you're gonna go through some shit. Like, Craving Wild is gonna go through some shit at some time. Like, that's just the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And just having that good dynamic together is definitely gonna make that road a lot less bumpy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you want to put friendship over everything, because that's the backbone of all the podcasts we do and all the hunts we do. Even if this goes to nothing happens in 10 years, I'll be like, "Hey, do you want to go for a hunt?" You'll be like, "Yeah, let's go, not kill anything." Yeah, you've still breaking the streak. Still breaking the streak. So
No, and you're absolutely correct with that. Is that whatever comes out of anything that you do like this, no matter what, at the end of the day, you still have to have the people that started with you from the beginning. Like, that's so important, and it's and no matter what kind of argument that you get into or what kind of fight, that everybody's still friends at the end of the day, and you're doing it for the right reasons, like the camaraderie, the deer camp. Like, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Yeah, we like to showcase what we do. We like to talk about what we do, but at the end of the day, everybody needs to get along and still, be friends no matter what happens with anything. Like, that's a tough thing. It definitely is a tough thing for sure.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, coming off that, like, some of the shittiest days of my life are out with these guys. like chasing a deer for 20-something hours and not finding it, or going out ice fishing when it's negative 15 degrees out and not catching anything. But we still want to come back and talk about it, and then at the end of the day, laugh about it. What a cool group of guys! Like, that's awesome. That's a dynamic right there that you can't just come across. So
and doing miserable
that.
things sort of like welds your friendship more. Like, you bond more with people when you're doing miserable, hard, very, very things that a lot of normal people wouldn't do. Sure, puts a helps with your friendship a lot.
Yeah,
And bonding with new people too. So it's always good to do that, and I can't wait to take Kevin to some of this stuff that me and Dan does.
You find out who your friends are.
Yeah, pretty
when
much.
You're 5 miles back and all your water's frozen. It's 22 degrees outside. You can't make a fire. You can't have all your food needs to be cooked,
and you can't poop because you brought wet wipes instead of toilet paper.
They're frozen solid.
What do you need? What do you need enemies for when you have good friends like that?
Right.
I say that all the time. Like all of my buddies that I hunt with and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know why I need enemies when I have friends like you. You fuckers just make fun of me, talk shit, and fucking beat me up every day. I don't need an enemy. I got you guys." It's like, Jesus, I don't even have time for an enemy. Like, where do you even find one? They would actually be probably better friends. I think my enemies would be better friends than my actual friends are.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, right.
But you're right. When you're in that survivalistic scenario, and you're like the craziest things, like when you're with your buddy and you get stuck in the mud and you're stuck there for 6 hours and no one comes and helps you. That's the story that you tell. That's the you know what I'm saying? Like that's it right there. Like what was the story that me and Martic said when I missed the deer and he was filming? Like it was a shitty situation, but it was the best situation that could be told as a story. Like that's what it's all about.
For sure, type 2 fun.
I just think it's easy to be friends when times are good, but when you go through some shit with some friends, you always come out the other side closer than ever can imagine.
Yeah,
I think so too. 100%.
I think that's why people in the military are so close together, because they go through some shit and they don't see each other for 20 years and they see each other as like nothing. And I think that's part of it, is going through like
Just always have that bond.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing about having a group. Like at first, like for us, it was me and Martic. And then now this season, adding another 4 guys, like you're kind of like taken back by it. You're like, I don't know, man. Like what happens? But now you have 4 more people to go through some shitty shit with. I'm in for it, dude. Like, let's go. Like
Just pile it on.
just pile it on, man. Screw it, because like we're about to have a turkey camp, and then we have the shows and all that stuff. Like it's just cool to get to know the guys and become really good friends with them like that, And it's probably the same for you guys, because you guys all live pretty close to each other, or
No.
fair.
Well, depends on what you feel like is close. Kevin's like an hour from me. That's the furthest guy.
yeah. So me and Martic are about 45 minutes apart, and so it's the same exact thing. Where
45 minutes the way you drive.
yeah, what's it really?
It's like almost an hour.
Oh, okay.
Me and Kev work together though, so we see each other pretty much on a daily basis.
Oh, see, that's sick. That's totally sick. But you guys get to go do things together, like you and Antonio going squirrel hunting and not shooting anything. I mean, that's just normal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called walking in the woods. We taking your rifle for a while.
I think they have memes about that.
I bet. I sometimes just shoot in the air so I can be like, I shot something.
Yeah.
Let me smell the gunpowder or something.
Oh man, it's getting a little expensive to be doing that, but
yeah.
It's not. Whatever. It's all good.
it's only money. We'll make more tomorrow.
That's right. So why don't you talk about a little bit of what the future holds for Craving Wild? What do you have anything in the books or something that it's coming down the pipe a little bit different than kind of what we talked about before?
Not really. Just more YouTube videos. We have some plans on some hunts that we want to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the biggest thing is going to be Western PA elk. We're going to do a lot of stuff over the summer with that. Some camping stuff. So probably I would just say videos, more YouTube videos, short films, if you want to call them that.
Yeah. We're going to try to
the Delaware trip we'll talk about quite a bit, I'm sure.
Yeah. It'll be awesome. I think we're going to be trying to mix everything that we can into just one video and see what the people like to if the people react positive to it, which I think they will, We're talking about camping and cooking outdoors, and who doesn't like cooking in a fire while drinking bourbon, smoking cigars, and talking smack with your friends.
Speak my language.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that right?
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to. That's one of the things that we're trying to accomplish. Do more of that, and get the people involved, and do more podcasts outdoors too. I think that'll be great. over a fire while cooking steaks.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Good stuff.
virtually
Kevin,
what your podcast is about? Also, virtually the same exact thing that you're talking about.
pretty much, I would say, like the podcast is really going to be
Seasonal.
yeah, seasonal, what we're doing, and then if we need to say we post a 10-minute short film, then we'll do a like an hour-long podcast further explaining like the setup, the trials, just all the shit that you don't see in the actual video itself.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do that, and yeah, and just like Antonio said, see what the people enjoy, and kind of just base everything off of that, which because that's at the end of the day, the viewer and listener is the most important part of this. I mean, we're going to be doing this shit regardless whether or not there's people listening to it or not. But if we can give people, more of what they want to see, hear, we'll definitely do that.
I got a question because I've listened to. How many episodes are out now? 3, or did you drop another one?
I don't even know. I'm
We're
a
up to
terrible.
4 now.
Well, I listened to the first 3, and I'm dying. I gotta ask. I gotta hear about these smoked chocolate chip cookies.
They're everything you think they are.
I heard I'm a sucker for some chocolate chip cookies, and I heard that, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
It's good. You don't get as much smoke flavor as you think you would. It's not like you're biting into a brisket by any means.
Yeah.
But you do just get that little bit of, depending on what's pellet you like. I have a pellet smoker is what we're doing it with. So depending on what pellet you use, but yeah, you just get like that little hue of that smokiness with a chocolate chip cookie, and I mean, who doesn't like that?
Oh, I actually, believe it or not, I have a big green egg for a smoker. And,
okay, they're awesome.
I think I'm gonna have to try that.
Dude, you won't be disappointed.
Is that like the smoked cream cheese? That's all I could think about when you had said about the smoked chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, same principle.
Everyone loves
Because
cream cheese.
the beauty of the pellet grill is the fact that you can use it as an oven.
Right.
I can set it to a temperature and just walk away. So basically, I'm just setting it to 375 and just letting the cookies do their thing and taking them out. That's it.
Weren't you just smoking something yesterday, Dan? It was like 7:30 in the morning. I'm hungover and I'm looking at my Snapchat and Dan has 2 pork butts on the thing. I'm like, bro, what is he doing, man? Go to bed.
I was up. I put them on at 3:30 in the morning, and I ended up taking them off at noon. I think.
Wow.
Something like that.
Dude, that's
I shredded them and made sandwiches. Did pulled pork sandwiches with coleslaw on top.
Making me hungry
over here.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
This always happens. We always talk about food. We're starving.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Jeez, I couldn't.
Man.
Is it? Do you guys do a lot of smoking stuff? Like when with
I
some
do.
of this? Okay.
Me too. Yeah. So yeah. Me too. Yeah. One of the things that I'm trying to get involved actually in here is to do a little different country mix. So we're gonna try to do some of the regular things that we eat at the state, but then I'm gonna bring some of my
A Venezuelan heat.
some Venezuelan stuff to mix it so people make recipes out of it so people can try them at home because they are delicious. So I already started making my own cheese, cowboy cheese. So we're gonna start with that. We're gonna start with some maybe some ossobuco or some tacos. It's gonna be or empanadas. We talk about empanadas. Forgot about the empanadas.
All right. Time out.
Yeah.
Time out. 1 second.
You
Bring
had
it
me
back.
at empanada.
I want to know about this cheese, bro. I know because I know that everybody else. And I get this all the time, dude. We'll have listeners that listen and they're like, bro, why didn't you ask that question? Like he just said that and you didn't ask that question. So I'm gonna bring it back. You got to tell us about the cheese.
Well, the cheese. All right. First of all, let me say this: we're not liable for anything. When I moved to the state, my dad tried to bring Venezuelan cheese in. I think it's one of the best cheese, but I'm not. That's just because I grew up with them, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to bring it, and a lot of Venezuelans actually tried to bring cheese from Venezuela, and the FDA say all the time that I don't know how Venezuelans are alive because that is not edible. Which I don't think is true. I just think the FDA is just a bunch of little girls that
They're not making money off.
can't handle good stuff. Anyway, but it's very easy to make actually. It's not that hard. You just grab raw milk, buy animal rennet, and you cook it to a certain temperature for You bring it up. I think it's like 90 because I do it in
Celsius.
Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. So you bring it to 36 Celsius, which I think is like 98 Fahrenheit. The milk, so it's like lukewarm. So what you do is like when you put your finger in the milk, it's not supposed to feel like anything because it's the temperature of the body, pretty much what it is.
Okay.
And then you put the animal rennet on it, turn the heat off, let it coagulate, and then it takes about an hour, and then you just squeeze all the juice out of it, and then you put it on like a I don't know, like a tote with some holes in it, depending like a small container with some holes in it, and put something pressure on it, and just leave it out for a day or two, and just take it out, and you're ready to eat. It's so good. It's good, but it never boils, so you never kill anything, and it's always outside, so it's lukewarm. So it's lukewarm coagulated milk. That's what cheese is. And there you go. That's how you make.
Terrible.
That's how you make Venezuelan cowboy cheese.
So in all reality, it's no different than like blue cheese or anything else. I mean, they literally
Pretty much
rot it. I mean, like, what is really the difference? Like,
Yeah, no. Well, if you eat prosciutto is a piece of ham that is left in some attic at 60-degree Fahrenheit for 9 to 12 months, and it's covered in mold, and then you take it out and eat it.
right?
So
It's-
I enjoy it.
Hey, I'll be honest with you, Antonio. It's just the American people and how pussificated that they actually are when it comes to food and stuff. Because a lot of these other countries, like South Africa, biltong, which is literally
Delicious.
which is their jerky, and they literally hang it to dry in the kitchen. Like, and it's nasty. I mean, everybody knows Africa. It's hot as fuck. Like, it's not like they put fans on it, but the bugs still go on it. It's still moldy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, but it's good. It's just pacificated Americans that are afraid to eat some of this stuff in some of these countries and third world countries, the things that they eat, and they all survive, but we have FDA approval for everything, come on, dude. If you're dying in the woods and you shoot a deer and, you're lost, you're not going to find a refrigerator out there. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to try and, I mean, there's a million and one things that I would try and do, but you're not going to get it to 33 degrees to freeze it. Like, you're just going to do with it what you want. I don't know.
No, 100%. If you see this cheese, because again, Venezuela is a third world country. We don't have nothing fancy in some parts. This is your low, very poor people that live in farms and stuff like that. If you see this cheese in person be made, you're like, I'm not trying that. But then you eat it, and I'm like, I don't give a crap that has flies and roaches legs in it, because they use the same container over and over and over, straight from the cow into the container. They put the animal rennet. They don't even boil it because it already comes out at 98 degrees from the cow. They just put the thing, coagulate it, and just leave it out in the farm, which borders the Amazon forest, which is, there's 1 billion and one insects.
Right.
So yeah, it's I don't know. I like it.
You
Maybe
made
I
it.
grew up with that.
You get your cheese and your COVID vaccine at the same time.
There you go. Well, funny story about this cheese. My dad, when he was 20 years old, he got transferred from Venezuela to Oklahoma to live with his cousin. And my dad and his cousin would make the cheese in the tub where they took a shower. Like, they'll fill the tub with milk and just do the whole cheese process in the tub, and they'll just cut it, and then they will sell it to everybody. They say they made a ton of money back in the 70s doing
I believe
that.
That's priceless.
Could you imagine being a Venezuelan in Oklahoma?
Dude, he has some stories
wild.
about it. In the 70s.
Right. Oh,
Damn.
Yeah.
There was so much acid in the 70s in Oklahoma that it didn't really even matter what they're eating. They thought they were eating a steak when it was actually cheese. They didn't know any difference.
Maybe. I think that's correct.
it's really good crumbled up in tacos. I did that with yours.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good.
It's good.
Antonio gave me
fried cheese too. You can fry it. It's fucking amazing too.
Ooh, I didn't try that.
Wow.
Dan, have you smoked
All
it
right.
yet?
I smoked the peas, and I over smoked it. It was so you can taste just smoke with like a hint of cheese.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't taste that bacteria, huh?
No, I couldn't taste it.
I love
But
it.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I guess we get
If
some
we-
cowboy
if
cheese. I can't wait to come to Pennsylvania.
Hey, if we ever get together, I'll make sure that I'll make some of that cheese and
Oh,
bring it along.
we will be getting together. You can mark my words.
I just come in for
All
the
right.
cheese, bro.
Well,
We
I
gotta
said
have
cheese,
chocolate chip cookies and
Yeah.
cowboy cheese.
yeah, and the steak in the fire pit outside. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The picanha. Have you guys ever had picanha? That's another.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, picanha is like it's a cut of beef that they don't have here in the States. It's I think it's like a French cut. I think is what it. It's the sirloin cap. That's pretty much what it is.
Okay,
And
yep.
and it's if you cook that, and that's what South Americans like to barbecue, man. And that thing is it's so good, man. It's so fucking good. And a lot of people don't cook it here for some reason.
And it probably
Yeah.
goes real good with bourbon and cigars, too.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Let me try it. Let me try it tonight, and I'll let you know.
I love it. Oh, man. See, this is what Craving Wild's all about. Good food, good people. It doesn't get much better than that.
Damn right.
No, I'm excited, man. Like I said, I've already listened to your first 3 episodes, and I love it. I can't wait for more. Definitely.
I appreciate that, man.
It's tough to break into someone's regular, weekly rotation of podcasts, and you guys got into mine real quick.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That says a
Thank
lot. For somebody who has their own podcast. I appreciate that, man.
I don't know because I don't
think
listen
he's
to
just trying to
podcasts.
suck up because of the cheese.
He just wants cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, he just trying to say that 'cause he wants cheese.
Look at him. Of course he wants. He doesn't. Actually, it's not the cheese. It's the cookies, bro.
I'm
He
honestly-
wants the cookies.
Yeah, I was gonna say honestly, I'm not even a big cheese guy, but I will get some cookies.
Okay, then the small cookies then.
Well, boys, what we love to do here, some of you guys might know, might not, man. Our last question of the day is, what drives you outdoors?
Oh,
Kevin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, let's go with Kevin.
Man, just everything. I'm so new, man. The unknown still is driving me outdoors. Just every day is a new adventure. I don't even know the woods out my backyard yet completely. And it's awesome. I just get lost every time I go for a walk, and there's nothing better than it. I'm putting on a weighted vest and just hiking. Not a smart idea if you don't know how to get back with a weighted vest. But I have had some shitty situations out there, but just getting outside, getting outdoors, getting my kids outdoors is so important to me, right? Especially today, right? So it's the unknown. Not knowing what I'm going to see, not knowing how I'm going to handle it, all of it. I love it.
Antonio.
So go ahead, guys.
that's a hard question, but
That's why we asked.
well, let me a little story here before I answer it. My favorite place in this whole wide world is the farm in Venezuela that I no longer can go, and it has such a core memory and a core feeling inside of me that I named my daughter after the savannas in Venezuela. So my daughter's name is Savannah because of that place where I grew up. So what drives me outdoors is just the fact that every time I'm there, either by myself, most likely by myself, but when I'm with somebody, I travel back in time to the beginning of why I enjoy it. It's hard to explain to somebody why you like the outdoors, because I got friends, they're like, why you like to go out so much? I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's just when I'm there, I feel like, okay, this is what I like. I don't know how to explain it, or this is where you belong, where I belong, maybe, or what I'm supposed to be doing. But even my wife, when my wife sees me mad from work or I'm like struggling, she goes, you either get out of the house, go to the woods, or you're not allowed to come into the house. So she kicks me out of the house so I can be outside for a little bit. And when I come back, I'm like more center, more like my feet are back in the ground. Because you fight with your demons when you're in the woods, especially when you're by yourself. You think and you think and you think and you think, and you go through 100 scenarios of everything. And I think that, to me, is why I like to go a lot out there.
Amen. We were actually talking about that before we started podcasting. We were downstairs having dinner, and Sarah cooked us a phenomenal dinner, by the way. And we were talking about food. That was amazing, by the way. But and we were talking about how being outdoors and you start to think about everything, and I think that you when you are in the outdoors, I can fix the world problems in probably 15 minutes of being outdoors. No questions.
Yeah.
I could change the world in 15 minutes just being outdoors in the world. Like, it's just, it's one of those things. So you hit the nail on the head. That's probably, no offense, Kev, but that was probably one of the best answers I've had for what drives you outdoors.
You say that every week, though, too. So.
Hey, shut up. Nobody asked you, bro.
All right, Dan, give him the new best one.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan, what's the new best one?
Well, I don't know if I can really follow up Antonio, so I'm just going to be an asshole and say a 2014 F-150 is what drives me out.
Oh, that guy. We haven't had one of those in a while.
before.
Yeah. I don't know why you're driving a 2014.
Give us 4 years of Craving Wild, and it'll be a 2015.
Moving up big in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Going to move up to the aluminum body. Dude, I just don't know any different. I don't want to know any different, to be honest. Not to sound like crude or anything about it, but I have zero interest in anything concrete. I have a joke with Kevin about there has to be like a tree to human ratio, and there's got to be way more trees. So yeah, just like I guess the fear of not having it anymore is just what keeps me going out there, and I feel comfortable. You can be yourself. You're like a maple tree is not going to judge you on how you talk, how you walk, how you look, how you dress.
Are we still talking about the Ford F-150?
Yeah,
we can.
That's when you're talking about it. That's all I can think about was the F-150. I'm like, dude, it's an F-150 and it's a 2014. Is it that important to you?
But let me tell you something. The F-150 does just judge Dan. So
Oh,
not
yeah.
talking about that shit.
Especially, it judges me hard, especially when I put in that 87. It's like, I don't know about all that. But,
Sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to butcher up your what drives you outdoors, but I had to. It was
No,
there.
well, I started off with the asshole comment, so I deserve. I only did that because the last time you had me on your podcast, I said the same thing, but it was a 2013 Subaru, so we did upgrade already.
All right, attaboy, attaboy.
So yeah, that's mine on the core. Is just I really don't know anything different, and that's just where I feel comfortable, to be honest.
That's awesome, man. No, I think it's great. You guys got a really good thing going on, man. I'm really looking forward to watching it grow, man. And ever since I known you, Dan, you've been doing the Craving Wild thing and just been kind of waiting for it to kick off. And then now with this, man, the step in the right direction and what you got coming forth, man, really looking forward to it. It seems like you got a real badass team. Everyone's really cool. And, sadly, we missed out on Eddie because this would have been a trapping podcast, but those things happen, and maybe we'll just
have
do
to
it
run it back one more time on our platform. We'll have all four guys, and then we'll get you guys and interview you guys.
That sounds good. Look forward to it, honestly. Before we kick you guys off, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you if they want to listen to the podcast or check you out on Instagram or YouTube or wherever?
So it's craving.wild on Instagram. And then it's just the Craving Wild Podcast on pretty much any place you can find a podcast, except for Apple right now because they're assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Spotify, Podbean. Oh, dude, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
My blood's just boiling just thinking about it.
When it comes, it comes though. It's good. Just let it be.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on YouTube, it's Craving Wild on YouTube as well. And then that's pretty much it for right now.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys jumping on. What a great conversation. We can't thank you guys enough. And like I said, we're really looking forward to seeing what you guys got coming forth down the table. And for everyone else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.